Everyone, this is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and I have a very special guest today. We've got John Do0mSwitch Star, Blue White
And
Control Master. This guy is the guy who's annihilating people all over online with Blue White Control. For months he's been doing this. He's been at the very top of the leaderboards. For how many months have you been on the top of the leaderboards?
like 3 months to I don't know.
It's been a long time. He's showing that Blue Eye Control has what it takes to play at the highest competitive level. So yeah, we are. If you like interviews like this, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I'd like to thank very much to Do0mSwitch for coming onto this channel to give us his insights to how he
Yeah,
plays Blue Eye Control and why he plays Blue Eye Control.
okay. I want to say thanks to for the opportunity to be here.
You're
Thanks.
welcome. So we've got I got a bunch of questions for you, John, and
Mm-hmm.
we've also got a bunch of questions coming from the community. But
Mm-hmm.
first off, maybe we should start off why you are, such an authority on this deck at the moment. What are your accomplishments with Blue Eye Control?
Uh, with Blue White Control, I started to play Blue White Control like 2 months ago, like competitively,
Mm-hmm.
and I did like three PTQs top eight and a couple good results, and I did two top eights on Max Mandley,
Mm-hmm.
Modern. Just that, but I think what was really cool was my 55 cards that I won Max playoff was the same that Austin win GP Dallas and Guy and MTGO win to the MCQ. So yeah, it was amazing.
You are now, so you've only picked up this deck actually for not too long, which also just suggests this deck is you're a natural with this deck. So what why Blue Eye Control? Why did you end
No,
up choosing Blue Eye Control?
I'm playing Blight like since the first time I'm playing Magic
Okay.
because I started to play Magic in Zendikar block and
Mm-hmm.
um, in that time Blue White Super Friends was super cool and
Yeah, I
I love that
remember.
deck. Yeah, and I started to play Blue White Control since then. Yeah,
So it really speaks to your heart.
yes, it's my
So
favorite deck.
what do you think? What kind of person would want to play Blue Eye Control?
Um, any person that likes card advantage and principally, I don't know how to say that, a person that likes to play an interactive game. I think it's Blight is a fair deck in modern and likes to interact with other decks. Yeah.
All right. So what do you think are the strengths? What are the strengths and weaknesses of Blue Eye Control?
So the strength is to be Blight can interact with all the decks in the format. Be have counter spells is a great advantage. And now Blight has Stoneforge Mystic
Mm-hmm.
that also gives a powerful early game. So that's good. Disadvantage is like when you can't interact with some permanents, or it's really difficult. And there is some cards that are excessively good against Blight, so
Mm-hmm.
everybody knows the cards.
Maybe we could go a little bit deeper on the strengths. You said that counter spells are good for the deck, and this is very
Yes.
interesting to hear because there's a lot of people complaining that the counter spells are just no good. There's now more uncounterable creatures. There's a more Ether Vial decks. Cavern of Souls was printed. There are more manlands undermining the
Yeah.
counter spells. Not to mention like more flash creatures. So what makes like counter spells so good in a metagame where it looks like the counter spells are being beaten? Like this goes against
So
conventional thought.
yeah, but Counter spells are very, very good against the unfair decks, the combo decks, and Blight can interact with the creature decks. Usually, you board out the counter spells against the creature deck, so it's really good. And Force of Negation is really, really powerful and makes Blight be on top right now, in my opinion. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, uh, what makes this deck strong enough to compete in a constantly changing modern metagame?
Uh, I think Blight has all the tools that it needs to play to adapt to the metagame.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really difficult for Blight to be on top, but with a nice tuned list and a list that can interact with the good decks, Blight can be on top. And Force of Negation is key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So white has. So what you're saying is like white has all the answers that a
Yes,
control deck would possibly want.
yes, white is really, really powerful. Uh, white sideboard cards are amazing. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So like how so you said that you've always loved to play blue white control, but you just got into it recently. I'm curious what made you transition to blue white control?
I always play blue white. So what makes me play blue white at a competitive level? Uh, it's because of Jason Mind Sculptor and ban principle.
Okay.
Since Jason ban, I think blue white gained a lot of power, and
Mm-hmm.
then they print the 3 mana walkers, Narset and Teferi. They
Yes.
are also great. And then they print Force of Negation that it's really amazing against the unfair decks and makes you can tap out with Planeswalkers and still have the counter.
Mm-hmm.
And now they give to us the Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah. Just one after another.
Yeah, one after another, and Blight is great. Yeah.
They unbanned what Ancestral Visions. You don't even play Ancestral Visions. You have
Yes,
too many good cards now.
Yeah, it's a
So
little weak.
so how big of an edge do you think? Well, from I've interviewed a lot of people who get a very large edge from just sticking to one deck, but it sounds like, well, how big of an edge do you think you get from just sticking to one deck?
Like knowing the sequence that you can make through your turns. I don't know how to say that, but uh, you can sequence better your spells if you know the deck, and
Mm-hmm.
that's key in Blight control. Interact with the other decks. It's what it's all about.
Right.
Blight is all about interact with other decks, so it's very important to know the deck. But in Blight is also super important to know the opponent's deck.
How often do you look up your opponent's deck online to get an idea of what's in the
Yeah,
deck?
a lot. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, if you play your deck quite a while, you will know what your deck's strengths against the other decks and how to play against their strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Understood. So,
it's really difficult for me
yeah, I
to speak
understand.
in
If
English.
you know your opponent's list, you can know how to your strengths, their strengths, and how to combat their strategy.
Yeah. It's super important in Blue White.
As
No,
yeah, any interactive deck. Those other
yeah,
decks that don't care about interaction, maybe they don't care. But if you're an interactive deck, I
yes,
know as a Merfolk player, I need to know what my opponent's list is. If I don't, then I can just lose because of some random card that I couldn't play around.
yes.
So, what do you think is the most common mistakes made by blue-white control players today?
Uh, Sometimes Blue White control needs to be aggressive, and sometimes needs to be a little more conservative.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super difficult to understand those when you need to be aggressive or so the most common mistakes is you play your spells at wrong time. So that's why I told that you need to really know how to interact and when you can tap out, when you
So you got to be very careful when you're tapping out at sorcery speed because it leaves you generally very vulnerable.
yes, or you need to know when to do that. Sometimes it's really good when you force they to play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
force the action by, I don't know, tapping out to play a planeswalker.
yeah.
They might have to
Sometimes
commit more
it's
to the board in order to kill it.
yeah. Sometimes you need to know to sacrifice a planeswalker in order to they will spend their turn killing your planeswalker, but you gain some advantage from that. Yeah.
So, maybe then what is the most common mistakes making good control players? What's preventing good control players from becoming master control players?
So I don't consider myself a master, but I think it comes with experience and take all the value from your cards, recognize different lines of play, and you need to follow the meta game and be prepared for the new decks. Yeah.
I think that's very good, wise advice. You have to maximize the value from your cards, and also, as you said earlier, you have to pay attention to the deck lists. You have to adjust with
Yes.
the metagame. You're an interactive deck, so if you're an interactive deck, you need to change that interaction as modern changes.
Yes. Yes.
So then, okay, let's talk. Okay, let's talk about Stoneforge Mystic. Hold on, even before we talk about Stoneforge Mystic, what do you think about Faithless Looting getting banned? Was this necessary? Was it
Uh,
unnecessary?
I like that Faithless Sorting is banned. Yeah, because gives a little more space to invent new decks
Mm-hmm.
and the format is a little slow and it is a little uh, better. I don't know what to say.
Mm-hmm. Because the
Yeah,
thing is,
it's good.
uh, from my perspective, it looked like you
Yeah.
benefited from the Hogak summer. Because I'm telling you all, like while I'm preparing against Hogak, I just see Do0mSwitch win more and more competitive
Oh
leagues, moving up higher, and it gave me this impression. Well, maybe Blue Eye
no, no,
Control is
no.
the best deck in the format because I don't see the Hogak players have as many like 5-0s
So
as you do.
the first OGAC list was really good for Blue White because they
Mm-hmm.
had so many cards that were bad if you could deal with others. Like Rest in Peace made Altar, Bridge super bad,
Okay.
and when the OGAC was Bridge was banned, Blue White was not that good.
Also,
I
it
think
wasn't as good as it was before. I
no
still saw
no
you moving up, but I
yeah,
didn't know.
but
I didn't
OGAC
recognize the rate went
Ogak
down.
was better for was better and Blue White was not great against the second Ogak. Yeah. No.
Where would you put it still? You think you're an underdog, or were you even, or maybe a little bit favored against Hogak? The new
Uh,
Hogak
first
deck.
Ogak first Ogak was really good for Blue White.
But so, like
Second
the final version. How about the
the
final
final
version?
the final version was super bad for Blue White. Yes.
Oh, was it? Okay.
But yeah.
It's too bad for the blue white players.
Yeah, you could
But
win games, but were was very difficult to win. Yeah.
I imagine being on the draw, it still was not good. The rest in peace still costs 2 mana.
Yeah. Third season Assassin's Trophy were really powerful against Blue White.
Right. All right. Understood. So
Thank God,
now,
Ogak.
yeah. Bye bye, Hogak. So now that
Yeah.
Faithless Looting is gone, we also got a
Yeah.
new addition with Stoneforge Mystic,
Yes, yeah.
and there were so many people telling me in the past that Stoneforge Mystic had no business in Blue White Control. That Blue White Control would never play it. So what do you think about Stoneforge Mystic and Blue White Control?
First, I think Stoneforge was banned because Blue White.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Blue White is Stoneforge is amazing for Blue White. It
Hmm.
gives you a really powerful early game, and you can attack with sword or protect yourself with Batter Skull. It's amazing. Yeah.
So it ended up being a really good card, and so it was. Did it? What did it replace exactly to fit the deck?
Uh, the difference between Blue White Control and Blue White Stoneblade is the Narsets and the
Hmm.
Supreme Verdicts. So you have that Stoneforge package instead of searching for cards with Narset. Narset was like the heart of Blight Control, and Stoneforge is the heart of the new deck. Yeah,
Do you still consider it like a blue eye control deck, or does it play too much?
it's,
Does it play much more like a Stoneblade deck?
yeah, it's a Stoneblade deck. Yeah,
Okay, okay. Um, so you remove the sweepers.
yes,
Does it? How much has it changed how you play that sort of deck over blue eye
it's
control?
it's a lot of difference, and it's more difficult to play Blight Stoneblade than Blight Control. Yeah, because you need to sequence your spells better. Yeah.
So in that way, do you think it's a less? But do you which one do you play right now? Do you play Stoneblade or do you play
Uh,
blue eye control?
I prefer. I think Stoneblade is really powerful because Stoneforge is cheaper than Narset, and it's good against big decks and small and creature decks. Narset is more advantage card. Uh, so
Hmm. But
yeah,
which of these decks do you play? Which one do you prefer?
I prefer Bloodstone Blade. Yes, yeah,
So it's a harder deck to play, but you think you get a
yeah,
higher win rate out of the deck.
yes. Super higher
Okay,
compared.
super high. So
Yeah,
you're rewarded with for your skill.
I think yes. Blue White Stoneblade, for me, it's been amazing compared to Blue White. Even in modern leagues, I don't remember going 3-2 in with the Blue White Stoneblade. So it's always 5-0 or 4-1. It's completely amazing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So we've got many questions from the community. The community is very curious about your insights to blue eye control.
Okay.
Um, and the first question is traditional blue eye control viable without the Stoneforge Mystic package?
Yes, and maybe it's good right now because of Urza. Blue White Control is better against Urza than Blue White Stoneblade. So Light Control is still a very good deck to play in Modern, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh, what tips can you give to blue-white players to avoid draws due to time? How to play faster while not punting?
You need to put, I don't know how to say this, but like a time. When you interact with your opponent a little fast, and they will interact with you a little fast too. I don't know how to say
Oh,
it.
so you can help uh, force the tempo of the match. If
Exactly,
you play
exactly.
fast, you can get your opponent to play fast, and you can get that thing done with. Because how much paper magic do you play?
Not so much in the last years, but I'm back playing
You're
Paper
back.
Magic.
We're
Yes.
gonna see Do0mSwitch
Actually, yes.
at a GP or
Uh,
something.
yeah, maybe. I stopped playing Magic last 3 years, but
Hmm.
I came back and now people know me a little more, I think.
Yeah, and cashing in online.
Yeah,
Uh,
just because of that, because I gained a little time to play more.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so and do you have any problems with time management online? Because there
No.
you can like there's no clock online. Or sorry, there's no like round timer online. You can spend as much time as you want so long as you can finish the match.
Actually, I'm known for playing a little fast light control. I know what I am doing,
Mm-hmm.
so I play really fast. Sometimes my friends told me to play a little slow, so I think it's really important to know what you are doing. So when you know what you are doing, you know how to play fast and how
Hmm.
to end the game faster. Yeah.
And that comes with experience.
Yes, yes, yeah, experience. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. What methods do you employ to tune your decks to the current meta? Like, what? How do you pick your cards and numbers of cards to run on?
That's a difficult question. It's
That's why they're
like
asking it.
I I know what I want in my deck first of all, and
Mm-hmm.
then I start to play modern leagues principally, and I take one, put one, and make a little change until I am happy with the deck and be uh, be prepared for all the decks in the top modern metagame. Yeah.
It sounds like very similar to a lot of other players. You know, they
Yeah.
they try new cards, they see if it works. Oh, it works very well, so you add more. If it doesn't work well, you take away
Yes,
cards.
it's like this,
It's
and
a
I
trial and error.
yes, and I usually test a lot of different cards, so to make sure that my choice is good. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, someone would like to know your thoughts on normal control with the two Karn, the Great Creator variant.
I saw a list with that. Khan is great against Urza decks, but White
Oh,
Control is already good against the Urza deck. So if you want
okay.
to beat Urza, you can play White Control instead of White Stoneblade. I think Narset is really powerful against them, and Big Teferi, Supreme Verdict is also good against the Doctors. So
All right.
it's not necessary to play Karn.
Just a
Just play
just a win
play
more
White.
card or just unnecessary.
It's just unnecessary, and it took a lot of sideboard cards that you need to other games. So.
All right. Um, is there a viable budget blue-white control deck? Would you be able to build a blue-white control deck for like $100 or $150 and go
If I
average like 3-2 in leagues?
if I can play Jace, the Mind Sculptor, yes. So it's not that budget. Uh,
Can you work with just Narset? Is Narset enough? You go
yeah, I
four
like Narset.
Narsets.
You need if you want to play foreign assets, you need to play more spells,
Mm-hmm.
more cryptic command. It's a little cheaper, more supreme, and uh,
Well, Wrath of God doesn't cost much money. How
a
about
lot
Day of
of
Judgment? We'll play Day of
judgments. Yeah.
Judgment. So you're saying no?
Gideon, what?
So you're saying no, it's not possible to make a budget blue-eye control deck?
Uh, it's difficult to make a blight control deck that makes you win games in modern
We're going
metagame.
for we're going for 40%. How about 40%?
Yes, it's possible.
There we go. Okay, we got it.
You only need to choose if you want to win two aggro decks or control decks. Then you can manage to do a budget deck. Yeah.
All right, all right. So it's possible. It's possible. So, what are your thoughts on the continued viability of Big Teferi? It seems like Narset and 3 mana Teferi are taking a lot of the sorcery speed threat space, and with the supposedly slower grindier meta, I would have expected him to become more viable, not less. Instead, I see him being cut entirely for a third 3 mana Teferi or Jace the Mind Sculptor.
So Blight plays a little more early game now,
Mm-hmm.
and Big Teferi costs too much. You play Narset or Teferi, and you win a lot of time to
Mm-hmm.
play your spells. And if you want to play Big Teferi, you can play those cards because they are also doing the same that Teferi wants to do. It's really difficult. And also Blue White now plays with 24 lands, not 25 or 26. it's really key to have a low curve in the deck. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting because we just talked about how modern slowed down,
Yeah.
but then at the same time the curve just got smaller instead of higher.
Yeah. It's smaller, but it's super powerful. The
Mm-hmm.
3 mana planeswalkers are really, really good. Force of Negation is really, really good. So you don't want to play Teferi because it doesn't give you any anything special compared to the other ones.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, the 3 mana Teferi also bounces
Yeah.
stuff, just like the big
Yes,
one.
because you prefer to play free uh, small Teferis than the big one, I think.
All right. Do you think blue white is better than Jeskai or Esper control, and why? Why is blue white like the choice to go to over these
Okay.
other color control decks?
Uh, I think it's because Jeskai plays only 3 mana, 3 damage spells,
Mm-hmm.
and
Lightning
nothing,
bolts, lightning
yeah,
helix.
nothing more. Uh, so they lose a lot of consistency. They
Mm-hmm.
lose Field of Ruin and only win against creature decks. So I don't think it's good. And they don't play Narset or Teferi that are amazing cards. So they
That's
just guy
it's
doesn't
funny
give
they
you.
don't play Narset.
Yes, they don't play Narset. Sometimes they play the small Teferi and the big
Mm-hmm.
Teferi. Deck is really good against creature decks, but is really weak against the big ones. So I prefer a more consistency and play blue white. So
So how about Esper?
Hasper has some cool cards, but they replaced the Esper Charm for Narset and Teferi again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a big of a change. So I prefer stay on Blight and more consistency and play Field of Ruin. They also don't play Field of Ruin. That is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Maybe some questions I have. How well does Blue Eye Control do against Tron?
it's tricky. Sometimes it's really fine. Sometimes it's really difficult. It all ends up with when they do Tron,
Mm-hmm.
what threats they have, and if you have the correct counter spells
Right.
and the right answers to what they want to do. Yeah, it's not a easy match, but it's a fine match for Blight. Yeah.
Do you think, okay, so you think it's like 55-45 for Blue White? 50-50?
I think it's Blight is favorite, yes,
Okay,
but it's not too much. Yeah.
sure. Was that because of the printing of Field of Ruin, or did you always have this sort of advantage?
No, Field of Ruin is key. That's one of the reasons why I play Blight instead of Esper and Jeskai.
Right, right, right. Okay, so maybe one question so that I can get into the Facebook Blue Eye Control group, because they've locked me out with a bunch of questions, and one question I couldn't answer exactly was, what is Blue Eye Control favored against, and what is Blue Eye Control, like, unfavored against?
Blood Control is bad against Stoneforge decks. I can tell
Okay.
you that. So I didn't like Blue White when Stoneforge came out, but now that there is not a lot of decks with playing Stoneforge, maybe Blue White Control is better. So Blue White has pretty tough game against the humans deck, for example. The Dredge game one is super bad,
Mm-hmm.
and I can tell that Blue White is good against Urza deck, and Blue White is good against the Devoted Druid, for example. Blue White is a fine deck. It's not doesn't have so many bad matchups right now because Force of Negation. I think Force of Negation is what makes White really, really powerful. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So,
Just to be clear, Blue Eye Control has an advantage against Stoneblade? or the other way around?
No, the other way. When you play Stoneforge turn 2, it's really, really difficult for White.
Okay.
And yeah, and Stoneforge plays more Jaces too. So
Right,
it's
right, right.
really, really difficult. It's not it's a little advantage, I think. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you very much for your insights, John.
And,
We really appreciate it, and I'm glad to see put a face to this name that I see
I need,
online. I
I
run
need to
into you
say
once in a
sorry
while
for
as
my
well.
yeah. I need to say sorry for my English, but I did my best. Okay.
You did
So
great. You did fantastic. Is there any I mean, if anyone wants to contact you, how do they contact you?
they can go to my Twitter.
The Twitter.
Yeah,
Everyone
I
has
prefer
Twitter.
Twitter. I don't like that people ask me so much on Facebook. I think it's more personal.
Stay away from Facebook. Go find him on Twitter. I'm gonna have
I
links in
I
the comment section. Sorry, in the description below where you can find John.
yeah.
So anyway, yeah, thank you very much, John, for doing this interview
Thank
with
you.
us. We love to hear how your insights to Blue Eye Control in Modern. So anyway, this has been Nikachu with Do0mSwitch, the person at the top of the leaderboards with Blue Eye Control in Modern.